Chapter 1, Lesson 9. So now we're going to look at some side-by-side bar graphs, and we're also going to look at some segmented bar graphs. The funny thing about segmented bar graphs is you should always have your single variable with all of the percentages, all the relative frequencies going all the way up to 100%. You may have multiple categories that you could use, but basically the way you make a segmented bar graph is you take the side-by-side bar graph and just stack all the pieces in the same order for the variables. So example 1, we're going to go back to the Titanic and its horrible, horrible maiden voyage. The same set of numbers that we were looking at before, because history has not changed so far. Part A, what percent of adult Titanic passengers in third class survived? So what percent of the passengers in third class survived? Given that they were in third class, what is their probability of survival? So 151 survived out of 627 in third class. 151 out of 627 is 24.1% survived in third class. And that's part A. What percent of the survivors were third-class passengers? So 151 third-class survivors out of a total of 442 who survived. So given that we have survivors, how many of them were third class? 151 out of 442 looks a little bit better. 34.2% of the survivors were third class. So notice how you can flip the language backwards a little bit and it changes some of what you're dividing by. That is the condition for our conditional frequencies. What percent of the first class passengers survived? So 197 first class survivors out of a total of 319 first class passengers. 197 out of 319 is 61.8%. Of first class passengers. Survived. So now we're going to make a segmented bar graph to find the distribution of survival status for each class of travel. So when they say for each class of travel, that means that we're going to use those on the x-axis. Let's also give ourselves a little bit of space here. Make a nice big graph. We have a nice space here. We only have 3 classes of travel, so let's go 1 for first class. Do another segmented bar graph. That's 4 for second class. Segmented bar graph for third class. So this is our class of travel. And we are just looking at overall percents. So my percents, I should be able to go 10, 20, 30, all the way up to 100. And this is so we can see what happened within each group. We also need to set up a little key. So anything that's just a blank, I'm going to say is survived. Anything that's got an X in it is going to be died. So first class, based on your class of travel, 197 out of 319 survived. We saw that was 61.8%, a little above 61%. And then the other 122 out of 319, the other 38.2% perished. And that 38.2 fills the rest of this out to 100%. In second class, 94 out of 261 survived, which gives us 36% survival rate. So about there. And the rest, in this particular case, perished. And then third class passengers, 151 out of 627, 24.1% survived, somewhere around there. And the remainder perished. Something like that. And the whole point in making one of these distributions is to see what patterns we see. So describe what the distribution of your graph says about the class of travel and survival status for adult passengers aboard the Titanic. The higher the class of travel, the more likely the rate of survival. And that's example 1.